Well, we'll get this show on the road. Good evening to everyone. Thank all of you for being here this afternoon. Happy New Year to all we haven't had the opportunity to tell Happy New Year to. Thank you so much for caring about your community enough to be here tonight. Our thought for today is whatever you do, do with kindness. Whatever you say with kindness. Wherever you go, radiate kindness. That's Jonathan Lockwood Huey. I'm gonna go ahead and officially call this meeting to order tonight. I'm gonna ask if Commissioner Edwards, if you would lead us in our invocation tonight. And I'm gonna ask if Commissioner Sanders, if you would lead us in our pledge tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If we bow our heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for another wonderful day. We thank you for another wonderful year. We ask your blessings upon this board and the people of this county. We ask your blessings upon this board that we execute your willingness, the will of Jesus Christ, and then we ask that you allow us to do that with discernment and wisdom. And we pray for a wonderful year in Newton County, Lord. We ask these things in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Next on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. I seek a motion, please. Commissioner Henderson.
I would like for you, if you would be so kind, to take out the vice chair so we can discuss that, and also the county clerk so that we can just vote Ms. Jackie into in an open meeting.
So that's item 8, E, and F from the consent agenda. Mr. Chair, you'll want to add those probably to the first two items. Maybe make those,
We can make it 9.
address those 9A and B, and then make
Yep.
your existing number 9C, perhaps.
We're going to make the appointment for the vice chair. Let me pull it back up, Commissioner. We're going to make the appointment for the vice chair 9A. (9B), we're going to make for the county clerk. 9A will be for the vice chair, and 9B will be for the county clerk. Commissioners, I seek a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to add 2 agenda items. The first motion, I would like to add the discussion of our interim county manager position.
You're going to want to call for a second and a vote.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Sanders and second by Commissioner Henderson that we add the discussion for the county manager position in the discussion. Commissioner Mason first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With that being a personnel issue, is that something that we can actually discuss publicly, or does that have to be discussed in an executive session?
I want to discuss the process.
So if we're discussing the process, we would do that in public session. And my understanding is that's what we're going
Yes,
to
sir.
discuss.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner Mason, I'm sorry, Commissioner Edwards. Okay, thank you. All in favor? It passes 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, I have another motion. To add a discussion of our COVID measures and safety measures in Newton County.
Mr.
Mr. Chairman, I second that.
I want to go back to make that 10A
Oh, I'm sorry.
for the county manager position. And can you state your motion one more time? I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm making a motion to discuss the COVID measures and safety measures for Newton County, for the commissioners to be able to discuss where we are going currently, as well as mass COVID sites, COVID testing, all those various things for Newton County.
Can I get a second, please? It's been motioned by Commissioner Sanders and second by Commissioner Henderson. Any discussion? All in favor? Pass 5-0. It's going to be 10B. COVID discussion. Anything else? Anything else? I take a motion of approval, please. Thank you. It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Sanders. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Next on the agenda is citizens' comments. This is an opportunity that we allow citizens to make comments about agenda topics only. You have 3 minutes to do so. Please state your name and your address for the record, please. Agenda topics only. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the chairman's report. We have some special guests with us here tonight. Mr. Chuck Berry and his wife. Guys, if you would please come on up tonight. They own Berry Tree Farm, and they had the opportunity for Christmas to deliver the Vice President, President Harris, her Christmas tree, right out of Newton County. So that was awesome. Come on, y'all. We can do better than that, I know. Guys, if you would come up and over to the podium and tell us just a little bit about the type of tree, because I know you won an award for the tree. I think that's how it actually took place. You guys won an award for the tree, and that tree was selected to go to the Vice President's house. Can you tell us a little bit about how that came about?
Yeah, thank you for the honor. We're glad to be here. It was a treat for us. It all started back in August when we entered a Christmas tree in the National Christmas Tree Association contest in West Jefferson, North Carolina. Our tree was awarded Reserve Grand Champion, and then therefore, as the result of that, we were able to present a Newton County grown Christmas tree to the Vice President's house in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
Quite an honor for not only the family, for the county, even for the state, and for Christmas tree growers across the South, because, you know, everything's based on the Fraser fir out of North Carolina. You know, that's what most people think of when they think of a real Christmas tree, and that is the Cadillac. We're not fortunate enough to grow Fraser fir Christmas trees here. We rely on cypress trees, pine trees, and cedar trees, and most of those Fraser fir growers in North Carolina think of our cypress tree as a landscape tree, and they don't think you can grow a landscape tree into a Christmas tree, let alone be awarded Reserve Grand Champion get to pull your truck and trailer up into the front yard of the vice president's house in Washington, D.C., and show her what Newton County could do. So, you know, we've been farming here since 1894. We've grown everything from a cow to corn to Christmas trees, but quite the honor to get to drive into Washington, D.C., pulling a tree on our trailer. And it looked like that when they got done decorating it, and show other tree farmers that we can do it just like they can do it. So thank y'all.
Thank y'all again. Thank y'all. Next on the agenda, in the chairman's report, we have Mr. Hunter Hall, the president of the chamber. If you would, please come on up. I know he had emailed the board and he wanted to address the board. Thank you guys for being here today. We all here, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Commissioners, thank you for allowing the Chamber an opportunity to speak to you. I know I've sent a few emails personally that were a bit terse and direct about the county manager position, and I wanted to have an opportunity to come and articulate a little further about where those emails came from. Obviously, in light of the Rivian announcement, we paused a little bit of our communication and wanted to pick that back up tonight. So with that said, I'm going to go around my elbow to get to my ear a little bit as to why the intent of those emails was in place. I think we've handed out a little handout. I'm going to start on page 2, and we'll work off this slide. The 2 slides I'm going to show you first look quite old and dated, and that is because they are. Back in 2012 and 2013, the Chamber chose this slide and what it articulates to begin to frame a philosophy behind a strategy related to workforce development and our economic development efforts. So let me explain this briefly, and then I'll kind of use it to segue into my next slide. In a nutshell, that pie chart right there represents all of Newton County's citizens, 113,000. And so when we think about economic development and we think about our workforce development, we put all the residents into that pie. On the left side are those dependent citizens, those who are either too old, who've retired out of the workforce, or those who are too young to enter into the workforce, school-aged children, right? So we have programs and relationships with all of those partners that represent either a dependent workplace or a dependent citizenry. On the right side in green is what we call our age-eligible workforce. A community has to always be growing its age-eligible workforce. Some of that's natural through birth, and some of it is intentional through in-migration. And from a chamber standpoint, back in 2012, 2013, Baxter had just landed, present-day Takata, And we knew that our workforce was not at scale to be able to service industry needs. And even beyond that, we knew our existing industry, those who had already been here for some time, were going to be, their workforce was going to be threatened by a new industry that came in. And so from that standpoint, you see qualified workforce, age-eligible workers, right? All of us in this room would fall into that side of the pie chart. There's also this little pie at the bottom, this little sliver called the unqualified workforce. Either those that didn't make it through school, maybe those that are sidelined for multiple reasons outside of their control, some within their control, just choose not to work. That's why, as a chamber, we intentionally built a really strong, deep relationship with our education team, both post-secondary and our elementary, secondary ed. And so our superintendent became a chamber board member with that intentional design to be able to make sure we weren't allowing, at least in our best efforts, allowing anybody to be disqualified from the workforce. Because we knew if we were going to continue to grow our industry and continue to grow workforce, we had to be able to both recruit new citizens and make sure our students could qualify. That being said, let me transition to the next slide. You see the title is a holistic economic development strategy. Let me kind of explain the three concentric circles and what they mean and how they became a strategy for us. The first, in the inner circle, your core, is your economic base jobs, right? And so I'll explain that in a second. Second is the service jobs, probably the ones we're most familiar with when we think about service industries and such. And then we have our dependents on the outer ring. Again, those who are on the left side of the previous graph that we just illustrated. So let me explain a little bit about these economic base jobs and why they are so critical. You'll see my little blowout to the left, the box on the left of the page says economic base jobs. These are jobs, and these are industries, let me rephrase it. These are industries that produce goods and services in Newton County, but are sold outside Newton County, outside the state, and even around the world. So here's what this means. When SKC produces a roll of film, or Takata produces a biopharmaceutical product that is sold globally or outside the state, those monies that are purchased, used to purchase that good, come from people outside Newton County and fall in Newton County. They show up in the form of wages, reinvestment. You see them in the form of an inventory tax and such. But the key point is those goods and services that are produced and created in Newton County, monies that are used to purchase those are from outside the county. That is a 100% net benefit to Newton County. That's why it's at the core of this economic development strategy. It's fundamental to our tax digest and our job creation. Second ring, service jobs, right? These are retail, commercial service jobs. Goods and services, different than the core. These are goods and services that are produced in Newton County and generally consumed in Newton County, right? A restaurant, right? A clothing retailer, possibly. Maybe a niche service, maybe your attorney's office, maybe real estate plays. Those things are done inside the county, consumed inside the county. Here's the key difference. Those are not sustainable goods and services from a tax digest basis because we tax them at 7%. So if I have $1 and we start taxing it every time that turns, eventually it'll run to zero. The center economic core jobs, you don't tax in that same way. They come from outside and we are the sole recipient of. See the difference? So from the standpoint when the Chamber in 2012, 2013 began to put our economic development strategy, it was both workforce, how do we retain and recruit new citizenry to be able to feed the workforce engine, and then how do we continue to grow our economic base so that we have outside monies come into Newton County. Now, that being the case, flip to the next page, and we'll see where we are in this process. Going back to 2012, 2013, when Baxter first landed and we put this strategy in place, us, alongside this horseshoe and our city partners regarding economic development strategies, we all collectively, very strategically, begin to work this strategy. And you see the graph on the numbers on the left are your general fund budget for the BOC. The red line, or the orange line, is household median income for a Newton County citizen, a resident. And you see those two mirroring one another. And my argument to you tonight is that that is a result of the core red dot in the previous slide. That is a result of core economic-based job creation and the recruitment of citizenry that came to the county in part for those jobs, and the ancillary jobs that support those, the secondary, tertiary jobs that support that economic base. You guys know this and you feel it through the context of your general fund budget. For 2012 to start just under $45 million and to where we are today, just north of $75 million, that's significant, right? Those are significant growth. And for the household median income to move from just over $48,000 to $62,000 is significant cash flow that helps our business community. So let me explain this in terms of why is the chamber here? Why would we request time tonight? Why would we care about the county manager position? Here's why we're here. Similar to our goals and strategy in 2012, we continue to advocate and lead on behalf of our business community. We're always going to. That's why we exist. Second, representing our 536 member businesses, we're ecstatic about Rivian being here. Ecstatic. Just like we were when Baxter announced, just like we were when Facebook announced. And we'll continue to promote and celebrate those victories because they are red dot core economic jobs. Third, success, as you well know, never really solves core problems. They just create different ones, don't they? Right? And we're at the juncture of a new problem, a good problem, nonetheless, with Rivian's announcement. And so we as a community and we as a business community want to bring this to your attention and say, hey, we are about to hit some big opportunities. Workforce is once again going to be front and center. 7,500 jobs. We have a general unemployment rate of less than 3.5%. That is practical zero unemployment. That means those jobs do not exist currently, right? We have to have a plan. Second, transportation. Y'all know this. This falls under your purview. Corridors. Where? How? How are we going to move traffic? How do we work with DOT on these exits? How do we work with our intertraffic? How do we work with Salem Road? You get the whole drill, right? You live this. You hear the complaints. Third, utilities. Where are your utilities going to go? Where do they situate? Where do they position for growth? Third, recreation, quality of life piece, right? Public safety, education, and probably most significant to the conversation tonight is zoning. How will this body plan for commercial, industrial, and residential zoning to be able to balance the workforce growth of new workers and those dependents? All of those are significant issues. So here, full circle, around my elbow, back to my ear. Why do we care about the county manager position? Because businesses thrive in certainty. Businesses thrive when they know the predictable game to play. So our position has always been, if you have if you were going to release the county manager, so be it. We would much prefer you would have kept that individual for a year in an interim basis. You're going to be in the exact same situation if you're hiring an interim. But that's not our situation. That's not our problem to solve. You've chosen to take that on yourself, and you'll be responsible for it. Here is why we are deeply concerned about this. When you hire an interim, I'm glad that it's on the agenda tonight. When you hire this person, whoever they may be, please absolutely make certain that they are skilled, qualified, and competent in these areas of growth: workforce development, recreation, transportation, public safety, education, and zoning. These are essential to our growth. They're essential to business growth. And if we have a no-growth policy, the growth will pass us. Don't think that you're preserving what we have. Growth will pass us and we'll become a bedroom community, and the center circle will become smaller, and we will be a community of the second-tier retail business growth. It's not sustainable. We have to continue to grow both and, not an either or. So from that standpoint, our hope tonight is that you will make really wise decisions, as Commissioner Edwards prayed, that the Lord will give us insight, right, and wisdom in these decisions. But I want you to hear from us tonight clearly, too. We, as your chamber, stand in partnership with you to support that position, to support that growth strategy, and we would love to help be at the table in partnership with you in that effort. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Henderson, you can ask a question, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so very much for the information. I know during your presentation you were saying that that we have $65,000 a year jobs and stuff, and I was hearing you, but I was saying, where are they at? Because when I walk around District 4, I see a long line of people over at the Baptist church, the big white church here in town, big long lines of folks just trying to get a meal. And I understand that back south, the one that I was on the board then when we all sat down and purchased property and worked with the other counties to get it here, and about the taxes going down on our property because we're going to bring in all this tax revenue. But all we have done is given them an abatement, and when they do give out little grants, it don't be none for the inner city, and there be just certain people that they give grants and stuff to, like the bigger or major companies. So from my perspective, District 4 County Commissioner, and I'm up for re-election. So, they can support me or not, for my thinking. But we don't have the jobs. We want the jobs. And what my constituents have told me, J.C. Henderson, is that while we giving away in tax abatements and all these companies doing everything they want, and they go out and hire folks from out of town. And when you ask them, say, well, I asked SKC one time, well, who are the people in Newton County getting these jobs? And they said, we can't tell you that. But I think we need to know, because it should be, you don't give me the names, you don't give me the Social Security numbers. Said we got a certain amount of people here who have sacrificed paying additional taxes on their property. And in most cases, some of them can't sell, even if it was given to them. They're stuck with it, but they still have to pay taxes on it. So how do we give taxes, lessen the tax burden on the property owners, and how do we tell the people who have sacrificed for all these years, and it's been long because, I kind of caught the heat several years, said, well, y'all are holding up something that's not doing anything, and then it's doing something, we're not getting the results that was promised years ago. So, what do I tell them?
Well, you can tell them to apply at Kelly Products. I have a client named with Kelly Products and Contract Packaging, Inc. We have 50 open positions every day. We request those positions. We had 2 show up last week. So we have 48 open positions that are paying between $13 and $15 an hour. And I could pull up a laundry list of manufacturers right in this room tonight who would tell you, I'm dying for employees. I'm dying for labor, right? And so, with all due respect, I adamantly disagree. If there are jobs, if people want jobs, we can get them jobs. I'll give you my cell phone. They can call me.
I'm going to call you on that.
I'll be happy to. I'll give you my card before I leave.
What I want to do,
got my digits.
Yeah, I got the information. We're going to set up a job fair, and I want you to be there with the people who come over to Nelson Heights, and you tell them, so I got a $15, $16 hour job, and then say, you go over there and they're going to hire you.
Yeah.
I put them on a suit. In fact, I go and buy several suits. That with my own money.
You don't even have to wear a suit. I don't
But
care.
what
You
I'm saying,
flip-flops
hey,
and tennis shoes.
I'm gonna hold you.
We
Hey,
will hire
look here.
you.
I'm gonna hold you to that. And we'll
Come
set up a
on.
date. I'll get with the clerk. and we'll
I'll
set
be
up a date.
happy to.
Thank
And
you.
in fact, I'll bring applications. We are dying. There are so many industries right now. Is anybody in the audience hiring? Do you know of people that are open, that positions are open? Yeah, you don't have to stop with me. We'll put it in the paper.
Well,
We can't get them to sign up.
Well, I do know jobs that people have told me, they said they were paying $15 an hour, and then they got there, they was not.
Well,
They told a three-letter word. So what I'm saying is, the only thing I'm saying is that you be a man of your word, come into District 4, we set up a job fair at Nelson Heights Community Center, and then we'll see, and I'll know how many jobs, when they go and apply for them, that they actually receive.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Mason and then Commissioner Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Hunter, for your presentation today. It was very well detailed. Just adding to the conversation, and correct me if I'm incorrect, I think one of the missing pieces or the missing elements from this discussion thus far is the training piece. Myself sitting on as a vice chair for Community Economic and Workforce Development for the National Association of Counties, I get an opportunity to hear a lot of conversations that are centered around community, economic, and workforce development. The thing is that we do have jobs available. What we are seeing is that we don't have, the individuals don't have the skill to actually obtain the actual job. And so I think what we as a community should begin to focus on, if we want more of our Newton County citizens to take advantage of the jobs here in Newton County that are higher waged paying jobs, really look at the skill. Also working with Georgia Piedmont Technical College, I work very closely with Dr. Clark, and I see that they have opportunities for our individuals to even get educated or trained for free. And so I think what we have to begin to do is really encourage our current citizens that are looking for those higher wage paying jobs to really get the skills and the training that it takes to obtain those jobs. I know a lot of companies, they can't just say, well, you don't have the skills, you don't have the training, but we're gonna hire you. They have to have the skills and they have to have the training. And so I think we really need to begin to look at that education piece and that training piece to ensure that our citizens have the training, the skills that they need, so that when they do apply for these jobs, they are qualified to obtain them. Is that accurate or is that inaccurate?
You are spot on. That's the slice of that the second slide of these dependents, these students, and those who are recently graduated, or even those who didn't even finish, can go on and get their GED and be qualified to enter into the workforce, because there are certain standards, requirements, training, skill sets that are necessary. And absolutely, especially if you want a position for Rivian, for the Bax Alta, or Shire Baxter, Takata position, or SKCs, you have to have some of that credential. And it's almost free through GPTC. Yes, sir, Mr.
Thank you.
No, wait, hold on, Commissioner Sanders.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. Mine's is real quick. I would love to see the statistics, the stats. If you can provide that for me of the amount of citizens that in Newton County that actually work here in Newton County, also that I knew Rivi that's going to be working at, that's at Facebook and all those various areas, versus the amount of people they brought into the county. I'm hearing that a lot of the companies that we've brought here, the major companies, they brought their own people. So I would love to see the statistics of how many people in Newton County actually work in this county, especially at our new locations that we have, our new companies that are here. So that would help us a little bit more, because what I'm hearing is not based on some of the information that's been provided.
Well, and just to be clear, part of our position to the discussion that Commissioner Mason had, some of the jobs that are coming or have already come, we don't have skilled training for. That's why part of our strategy is an in-migration recruitment of people to the county. And we're okay with that because we don't have enough currently in our citizenry to be able to handle the job growth that's coming. So it's a both and. It's not an either or strategy. It is a very much a both and. Educate, train to qualify, as well as recruit new to live and relocate here. And so that is very much our effort. It's a both and strategy. I do not have those numbers for you. I don't know that those exist. I don't know that they would share those in regards to either private or confidentiality aspects, but I feel quite confident. I think to your point, the heart behind your statement is, hey, we're recruiting these people, but we're not hiring local Newton County folks. I don't believe that's true. That might not be to the degree that we're comfortable with, and so be it. That's why we work with education. That's why we work with GPTC. That's why we work with Quick Start to make sure those certifications that are required for those industries, people can get trained in our community. So it's very much a both-and strategy.
Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you. You know, over the years, and I've been for quite some time, and we would have people come in and tell us that, well, you know, we're doing this, and you ask for how many, and you never do get a number. You never, they won't tell you how many people who they are hiring from Newton County. And, you know, I'm not asking for who they are, I'm just saying, I'm just asking the question, how many? And I thank for the sacrifices that the citizens of Newton County have sacrificed. You know, with tax abatement is when they don't pay the full amount, guess who burdens it? Is it ours, the property owners and stuff. And yet, you know, I have a son that graduated from Georgia Tech, and he couldn't get a job. They talking about, I know it backs out to, you know, and but why are we still saying that there's so much going on here and it's not? And the only thing I'm saying is let's stop talking about it and show them where you actually hiring somebody from Newton County and throughout the county, throughout the city, you know, in the different areas. So I'm not trying to fuss anything. I'm just saying that I think that what was sold to us years ago, and I'm the only commissioner that was on the board then, you know, there's been a lot of talk about what's going on. And we started, the idea was to take some of the tax burden off our taxpayers, lower the taxes, and then, you know, hire some of the people that we know they hire in the community, especially our young people, or train them. But you don't see that. So the only thing I'm saying is, let's stop this horse and pony show, saying that, well, we're doing all this and we're doing all that, and let's do something and show the people what we're doing. Show them who we're hiring. Show them that we're hiring people from Newton County. Show them that we're hiring our children. That's all I'm asking, and I don't think that's too much to ask for all these years that we told all those big-time companies that came here and told them, and now it's time for them to do a little something for us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you guys for being here
Thank you.
tonight. Thank you so much. Next on the agenda is the approval of the board minutes. Can I get a motion, please? It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Mason. Any discussion? All in favor? Passed 5-0. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. I seek a motion of approval, please. It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Sanders. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Next on the board agenda is item 9A, which is the vice chair. Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Ms. C. Concerning the vice chair, I was, you know, I'm just going to be here for a while, years. And I was one that originally brought it to, and if anybody wants to look, you can go back in the minutes, and it probably tell you where I brought it to the Board of Commissioners. The reason why I brought this was because the city of Covenant had a pro tem similar to this. But it's time for the vice chair to have some upgrades on it. I noticed that in 2021, when Commissioner Sanders was the vice chair, she didn't even have a tag on it that said vice chair. She wasn't even recognized per talking. And typically, if we talked about the Christmas tree and went to the White House, I bet you addressed Vice President Kamala Harris as Vice President or Madam Vice President. And I think that we're getting away from just about a little respect for people. And I know for a fact that Commissioner Sanders, on the $10 million that we gave $2,500 to our county employees, correct me if I'm wrong, to help them on during the Christmas time, she did most of the work herself. And the question that I would ask is, how much work did Gerard and Davis do? And to the best of my knowledge, I didn't see too much work that he did do. And so the question that I asked is, did we pay them for doing some work? Because that's typically what we get around here is we pay people for doing stuff that may not have got done. And you ask, and you may not never get an answer. So I'm asking out in public on setting up that program that Commissioner Sanders did. How much did Gerard and Davis get paid? Mr. Patrick, how much did they get paid, or did you get paid for setting it up?
Are you referring to the ARPA funds?
Yes.
I don't have any idea. We bill every moment of our time, and it would be reflected in our bill. I don't know as I sit here how much that
Thank
was.
you. Well, we should know. We should know for everything that's done related to taxpayers' dollars, it should be known. And so just my point is, we had Commissioner Sanders do all this work. She did it, because she was asked by the chairman, and yet she got no kind of compensation for it, man. And that shouldn't have been, because we went above and beyond, and we paid folks for doing work that they didn't even do. And so that's what I'm saying. There needs to be a change. We need to start. If a commissioner has to do more work, it should be left up to a board member, another commissioner, another two commissioners, saying that she had been above and beyond, and should be given some conversation, at least the amount of money that the county attorney was getting, who didn't do nothing. And I'm not saying it in a bad way. What I'm saying is that she needs to be compensated for the work that she did on the author program for her, because she did a whole lot of work.
Commissioner,
But
sir, this is.
May I finish, please?
Hold on, we're talking about the appointment of the
This part of
vice
the
chair.
appointment.
Okay,
This
go ahead.
part of the conversation, Mr. C.
Okay.
For the appointment. First of all, I believe that she should have had a name tag stating vice chair 2021. She should have, or this board should have looked at, and I looked at it, you should have gave her a conversation for working above and beyond as vice chair. And she should have been given I think she should have been given 10 to 20% of her base salary for all the additional work that she has done, because she had worked tireless. And we should have did that. Also, is the upcoming vice chair, and the upgrade that I'm asking that this board do is that we start having meetings on our budget before the budget, and start allowing the citizens of Newton County for once to chime in and tell somebody who's connected to the budget what you think about it before we approve it. What you think about the $33 that we got, and our budget was higher than it ever had been since I've been on the board, $79 million, and you only got $33 towards a $100,000 home. So we need to set up meetings to relay that back to the board before we approve a budget, so you have an opportunity to put it in to it as well. We're asking that a nameplate, not only for me being the vice chair for 2022, but it also be for 2023, if Commissioner Calvin so choose to take it, or the next commissioner, that he also get a name tag that year, and a name tag and a pen saying vice chair for the year that he or she serves in it. So, Mr. Chairman, in my motion, and Mr. Patrick, you tell me whether or not I can get this motion, I want to address the additional 20%, I think that's probably fair, 20% motion that the vice chair get a name tag, get a name plate, and I think I can set up a meeting anywhere I want anyway, set up meetings with the general public so that they can be informed as what's going on towards our budget. And just as Mr. Hall had said, we do not have a county manager, but it's not our fault. We did everything that we could to try to have a county manager. It's just held up for whatever reason. So my motion is to make me the vice chair, which is we're always running the board anyway, give Commissioner Sanders a 20% raise, give us a name tag on your shirt saying vice chair for that year and a name plate, and to be addressed as vice chair for this year.
But before there's a second, Commissioner, there is a Georgia statute that deals with changing a commissioner's salary, and that requires a public notice, it requires publication of some the impacts of doing that. I would recommend that the salary part, the additional compensation, be taken out of your motion. We can certainly work towards achieving that, but it would be improper for this board to approve additional compensation to any board member at a meeting like this. You have to follow those procedural requirements of Georgia law.
Well, I will amend my motion, taking that out, but we want it to be addressed because it's not right for you to have somebody doing all this additional work. And Gerard and Davis, or you, Mr. Patrick, is not doing it, and she's doing the work, and yet you're getting paid for it. So I make that informal motion. You want to? Can I get a second, please?
As I understand the motion, it is to appoint J.C. Henderson as vice chair for calendar year 2022, to provide for him either a name tag or a name plate, or both, and to call for budget meetings, public budget meetings prior to the adoption of the budget.
We already do public meetings. It's already law that we do public meetings.
That you are required already to have two public meetings prior to.
Well, you can have two public meetings, if I may chime in, but it still don't do the public any good because the minds are already made up. I'm saying during the process, before we have an outside public meeting here at the Horseshoe, where it's additional with the vice chair for to bring up their concerns as far as the budget is concerned. In other words, during the budget time meeting, they don't have too much to say so in it. Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. Is that a separate motion? Is that the same
That
motion?
would be proper as a separate motion, and I think it might be proper to do that when you have a budget schedule, to go ahead and have a motion to adopt a schedule that includes those meetings. I don't think there's anything improper about having those meetings, but I think it would make sense to have a schedule and approve that schedule of meetings as part of your budget process. And I don't know that you're prepared to set dates for all of that just yet.
Well, I tend to agree, but it's commissioner motion.
So as I understand the motion, it is to appoint Commissioner J.C. Henderson as vice chair for calendar year 2022, to provide to the vice chair a name tag and a name plate denoting his status as vice chair. And then the last part of the motion, which I would recommend be pulled out and made a separate motion when a schedule for the budget is produced, but to have separate budget meetings to discuss the budget before it's ultimately presented to the Board of Commissioners.
Now that part is incorrect. It's not gonna be a budget meeting. It's bringing in the public who have concerns, to be able to discuss with me, the vice chair, so we can relate to the board what the public wants. And we're not talking about, you know, it could be at Nelson Hike, it could be at Washington Street, it could be anywhere in the county, so that we can bring their opinions and what they see is needed as far as our budget. Their opinion back to this board. So that's what I'm saying, Patrick.
So let me get this correct. You're saying that you want to have separate meetings for the vice chair and the public? No. I mean, I take that back. I didn't say no. Go ahead.
Let me say this. Well, let me say this real quick. I can have that meeting anyway, because I don't think, yeah. And see, and I think that's basically what the problem is. I mean, I can have the meeting with, see, but that's the problem.
Yeah, I mean,
This board, this Republican board don't want to have that conversation with the entire community, the entire Newton County.
there's nothing that prevents a county commissioner from inviting input from the citizenry. I don't think you need a motion to do that. I think you could do that regardless of whether there's a motion approved.
Okay, we got Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Patrick, I think you just said what I was going to say. Even as of last year, when that question was posed, I did suggest that all 5 of the commissioners set a board or set up a information session or set up a budget meeting with their individual districts and their constituents, so we can already do that. As a matter of fact, in 2021, because of COVID, I personally did a online Zoom budget information session for District 2, and we invited the county manager, we invited the finance director, we went through the high level of the budget and then allowed citizens to ask those questions. So as commissioners, we can currently have those meetings already without there actually being a motion to actually do that. So that you basically said what I was going to say. So thank you.
We got a motion on the floor.
Yeah, if I may chime in and make sure we kind of get it right. This meeting would not be just for District 4. It would be countywide. It will also include the constitutional officers. The constitutional officers who have been, in my opinion, left out of the process of the county.
Commissioner Sanders?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner, I kind of hear what he's saying. We have budget workshops, and the citizens are not able to respond at those budget workshops, only at the public hearing. So what he is saying is having a meeting to where the citizens can converse or come back and speak to us before the budget is approved or the hearing, that they have input beforehand. So that's what he's stating. Am I correct? Oh, okay. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, we do. Commissioner Edwards?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and along with what Commissioner Sanders just said, that's why we have the individual district-type meetings with our, to go over the budget with our people, is so we can take the input on that more individualized or personal basis, and then bring it back to the county manager or finance director or the board as a whole. I believe that's why we have those individual meetings. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mm-hmm. Commissioner Sanders?
I agree with Commissioner Edwards, but I think we have our individual meetings, but they're not documented. So I think what Commissioner Henderson is stating is that public hearing will be documented stream live to where people can see what the citizens are actually stating. When we have like when I have my individual meeting with my district, you guys are not involved, or the entire county is not involved when we're going back to our specific districts. So he's saying a whole entire public meeting to where citizens can have full input on their tax dollars.
Commissioner, do you need Patrick to state your motion again, or you want to state your motion?
Normally, Patrick state my motion to the best of his ability. And we ask that, for this year, there will be vice chair. They'll be recognized SO as the vice chair, District 4 vice chair of the Board of Commissioners. That's the way it was supposed to be set up. And I just didn't like the way that it was did, to my good friend, Commissioner Sanders. But it's time for a change. It's time that we respect one another and move on. And then when it's Commissioner Cowling's turn, we should do the same if he so chooses and want it that way.
You want to state that motion?
Could you state that motion, Mr. Patrick, in the way that I suggested to you?
So the motion, as I understand it, is to appoint Commissioner J.C. Henderson as vice chair for calendar year 2022, to recognize him with a name tag and a name plate to so designate his status as a vice chair, and to have public budget meetings conducted as part of the budget process prior to the hearing before the Board of Commissioners. And again, it would remain my recommendation to address those budget meetings in a separate motion when the budget schedule is.
And to be addressed by the board members as the vice chair of this board.
Okay. And for the vice chair to be addressed by his fellow board members at public meetings as vice chair.
Is there a second? Second. Any more discussion? Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think once again, we are putting two different subject matters into one motion. So the budget hearings should not be a part of this particular motion. That motion should be made once we have from the finance director and the county manager, when they provide to this board the budget hearings calendar. At the time that we are approving that budget hearings calendar, at that time, we can add additional meetings if we so choose at that particular time. But tonight, we should not be making a motion around anything about budget hearings. Now, if we want to just address 9A, which is the vice chair, and what the vice chair entails, I think that is appropriate. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So, to make sure we clear up the air, kind of what Commissioner Mason was saying. So, the vice chair do rotate, and this year it falls on Commissioner Henderson. My suggestion is you make that a separate motion, kind of like what Commissioner Mason said, because it is Commissioner Henderson's time to be the vice chair. This is this year as it rotates. But I think you need to kind of make those two different motions. Any more discussions? Commissioner Edwards.
I need to know the exact motion that I'm voting on.
Well, right now, Patrick, right
now, the motion is to appoint J.C. Henderson as vice chair for calendar year 2022, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. To provide to the vice chair a name tag and a name plate to designate his status as vice chair, that the board members refer to Commissioner Henderson as vice chair Henderson in public meetings, and that there be additional public meetings during the budget process. That's part of the motion right now, though. I agree, but that is part.
Wait, guys, one at a time. Yeah, finish reading it, sir.
That there be additional public meetings held with the general public prior to the public hearings on the budget before the Board of Commissioners.
Thank you. Any more discussion? Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. See, what the problem is, what the problem is that the majority of the board, which is Republican, they don't want the citizens of Newton County to have any say-so in the budget. They want to say, we just call for in a round table and say, well, this is what we say. That's why we had a $79 million budget, $79 million budget for the county and the taxpayers, people who own property, didn't get little or nothing.
Commissioner, I'm calling for the vote. Guys, if you're gonna vote it up, you're gonna vote it down. All in favor?
I want to make a substitute motion.
I done called for the vote. All in favor?
If it fails, make another motion.
Yeah. Not after I done called for the vote.
Just make it clean.
All in favor? All in favor? All opposed? It failed 3-2.
Ask for another motion.
Commissioner Sanders, there you
Okay.
go.
I would like to make a motion to include the items. Can you read those items, excluding the actual budget hearing? Do you mind, Attorney?
Motion will be to appoint Commissioner J.C. Henderson as Vice Chair for calendar year 2022. To provide to the Vice Chair a name tag and a name plate to designate his status as Vice Chair, and for the other commissioners to refer to him as Vice Chair during public meetings.
That's my motion. Wait, no, not the public meeting, excluding the public meeting.
Well, we excluded the budget meetings, but referring to him as Vice Chair.
Okay.
Is there a second?
He did.
You second? Okay. It's been motioned by Commissioner Sanders and second by Commissioner Henderson. Any discussion? Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm to refer to Commissioner Henderson as Vice Chair Henderson, no matter the setting. Is that correct?
No.
The motion included only in public meetings.
Only including this meeting?
Well, going forward, but look, that's not really an enforceable.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
There's no manner in which you can enforce that.
Guys. Any more discussion on the floor? Commissioner Henderson.
You know, it's just kind of clear that when it comes down to myself, that it's going to always be that person, Republicans, who are going to step by, and for people who don't know, Republicans are not always just my Caucasian brothers and sisters on the board. It can be us too as well. And it's just a matter of respect, the same respect that you give to the chairman, the same respect that you give to anybody, and you denying to want to give me that respect. Thank you.
All in favor? Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to make this clear. I came on the board in 2019. In 2020, I served as the vice chair. I didn't hear any of my colleagues state that they wanted me to be called Mr. Vice Chair. I did not hear any of my colleagues state that they wanted me to earn additional income. I did not hear any of my colleagues state that I was to get a nameplate or that I was to get a name tag stating that I was a vice chair. So what I want to know is why all of a sudden in 2021 and 2022, we are changing things. Now, I don't have an issue, but what I'm saying is nobody was fighting for the other commissioners prior to these past 2 years for these things. So I just want to make it clear, this has nothing to do with Republican, it has nothing to do with Democrat, it has to do with a level of respect for the entire board. And it should not be where we are showing favoritism to certain commissioners when it's their time to be a vice chair and not give that same respect to other commissioners when they're the vice chair. So if we're going to make this a rule, This is going to be something that should be followed going forward and not show a level of favoritism towards anybody. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Guys, I'm calling for the vote after this. Commissioner Sanders.
Let me go back to January 2021. Okay, let's go back to January 2021, when many of y'all didn't want me to be vice chair, period. And Commissioner Mason, you was one of the ones who did not want me to be vice chair. It did not rotate down as it's supposed to, like it's been going years and years and years. I've been disrespected the entire year as vice chair. I had three individuals up here did not want me to even be appointed at that position on my first meeting as commissioner. So I want you to remember that. You were one of them. So, okay, so
Hey,
so
guys,
that's
guys.
what, he didn't have to respond.
Guys.
So that's why he's putting in place, I see that portion, to make sure from now on that every commissioner that comes behind us is respected, and you don't do favoritism based on the person who's sitting in the seat, which you did in January 2021.
Got them, all in favor? All opposed? We voting on, Patrick, you want to state the motion?
That motion was to appoint J.C. Henderson as vice chair for calendar year 2022, to provide to the vice chair a name tag and name plate, to designate his status, and to have commissioners refer to him as vice chair during public meetings.
All in favor? All opposed? Can someone make a motion? I need a motion to make Commissioner.
I move to
Henderson.
make Commissioner Henderson vice chair for 2022.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanders. Can I get a second to make Commissioner Henderson the vice chair, as he's supposed to be, for 2022? Thank you, Commissioner Edwards. It's been motioned by Commissioner Sanders and second by Commissioner Edwards. All in favor? Thank you. Commissioner Henderson is vice chair. Thank you. Next is 9B, county clerk. Commissioner Henderson. Commissioner Henderson.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we just discussed the same thing over and over, and I think it almost slipped my mind about what the next subject was. And this was, Miss Jackie Smith has been our county clerk ever since I can remember. And I've been here for about 25, 26 years, well longer than I really wanted to be. But I've always been the type of person, when you try to push me out, hey, I just kind of dig in and I work. But with the peoples of Newton County, especially ones who don't want to come up here and say a few words. But make a long story short, back back on test, was that Miss Jackie should have the honor of this board voting her in, rather than we just putting on a consent agenda. Because I can only speak for myself. Over the years since I know her, I loved her and her family, and I said it really from my heart. And it would be a disservice for us not to openly vote her in as our county clerk. So it's there.
Can I get a second?
I haven't made a motion yet.
Make a motion.
Commissioner Sanders.
I would like to make a motion to table this, and I'm going to explain why. It's in regards to personnel. It has nothing to do with Ms. Jackie being county clerk, but it's about the position. So I can't discuss these specific items, as we state, personnel, in the meeting. So I guess if we have to go to executive session and come back out and vote, that would be great, but I have some questions in regards to personnel, in regards to the position, not Ms. Jackie, in regards to the position. So I would like to table this, and then we can come, I don't know how that can move, but, because I know we can't discuss certain personnel topics right now.
So if it's your intent to discuss the position, the duties, or something like that related to the county clerk, If it's discussion of the position of the county clerk but not the individual, that discussion is to be held in the public. If you are desiring to discuss whether or not to hire an employee, fire an employee, discipline an employee, or evaluate an employee, that discussion can occur in executive session, but the vote would have to happen in public session. So I'm not real sure what the discussion is.
I would like to make a motion to second the appointment, and then we'll go into executive session and come and speak about it.
Wait a minute, back up.
I want to table it.
Words,
Wait
she
a
want,
Wait a
Okay.
minute, wait a minute. What's your motion, Commissioner?
I would like a motion to table this agenda item to discuss the actual position of county clerk more in detail
Okay. All
in executive session.
right, Commissioner Cowan had his hand up.
I'd like to make a motion just to appoint Jackie Smith as county clerk and move on.
Is that a substitute motion?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second? It's been motioned by Commissioner, it's been a substitute motion made by Commissioner Cowan, and it's been seconded by Commissioner Edwards. Any discussion? All in favor? It passed 5-0. Thank you. Next is clarification of compensation for the county and state employees. We have Miss Brittany here tonight and Mr. Randy McGinley here tonight, guys. You may come up at this time if you choose to do so.
Good evening and Happy New Year. We just want to make sure that we have in the minutes that we have clarification that we are paying employees and state employees that are county supplemented the premium pay. So since this is ARPA funds and it's federal funds, we just want to make sure that is spelled out in the minutes when we do our reporting. So are there any questions? And Randy can explain why he feels the state employees, county supplemented employees, deserve it if you need further clarification.
But I just want to make sure before you come, I think the board meant and intended to give compensations to all county employees. Is that correct? Is that what you guys voted on? They county state. Sir, you want to explain?
You can probably
Yeah.
explain that better than me.
They both.
My office, I know, is one of, I think, 2 or 3 offices that have county employees and state employees. The state employees that we're talking about are not state employees that work in Walton County, state employees that solely only work in Newton County.
Yeah.
They are state paid. My office automatically gets a chief assistant. Basically, it would be 4 assistant DAs, 1 investigator, and 1 office manager. By way of the state budget, I get those positions automatically from the state. The county supplements with other positions, but those positions that I just named, and I think Ms. White knows which individuals I'm talking about, they work solely here in Newton County. And they are the most experienced individuals in my office, the people that are trying the murder cases, trying the rape cases, child molestation cases, running the budget for the office manager, the chief investigator. So they are here, and if you're at the courthouse after 5 o'clock, the people that are still there are my office, and it's the people mostly that are the state paid people. And I'm just asking that also be extended to those individuals that are working the same number of hours, if not more, for the county. They obviously are paid by the state, but they are working here in Newton County day in and day out. So we're just asking that those be 4 ADAs, 1 office manager, 1 investigator for my office. I think there's some other individuals for the judges and one other agency, I believe. I'm just going to speak to my agency, obviously, but I just ask that those individuals get the same raise. It would be $2,000 for the 4 ADAs and 1 office manager, and then $3,000 for the chief investigator, who is a post-certified law enforcement officer who's deputized by the sheriff. So I think my math is right. That'd be $13,000 for my department. So I just ask that y'all approve that to come out of the ARPA money that I believe there's more than enough, because last meeting there was that extra $500,000 got set aside. So it's something like 0.5% of that money. So I would just ask that y'all approve that, and for all the other positions too, at this point.
And I think
Unless there's any other questions.
yeah, and I think they did. I think we just wanted to get clarification to make
Yes.
sure that they did?
There was 18 total state employees, or their state employees county supplemented. So everyone on this list did receive the premium pay, but they're also receiving a monthly supplement from the county because everybody's different, but you may have maybe a court clerk who half their salary is paid from Newton County and half their salary is paid from the state. They're all different, but that's just an example. So we just want to make sure it's clear in our minutes for reporting purposes for ARPA.
Thank you. So guys, I'm gonna poll the board, we'll need another motion. Commissioner, that's your understanding? Commissioner Mason? Commissioner Sanders? Commissioner Henderson? Commissioner Cowell? Thank you.
I think
You think we need to
why don't we vote,
You
just
wanna
to make
revote?
it clear?
Okay.
In case there's any
Okay.
question, and I'm going to state the motion. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Commissioner Henderson.
I'm sorry, Ronnie, I didn't, I'll keep you all right? Question I have, the additional $500 for our first responders, this got nothing to do with that, they are still gonna receive their pay.
So first responders, when we did the payment on the 24th, the first public safety received $2,500. The remainder of the county employees received $2,000.
And then we had said, I think the sheriff had came and requested additional $500 that we agreed to pay them, didn't want to forget about it, to pay them additional $500. I just want to make sure they're still on the table for our, I guess, first responders or the sheriff officer, whoever. Okay.
Do you know if there was a date given for that? Because I wasn't here that night.
Commissioner,
March, okay. Okay.
Thank you.
So I think what the motion you need is that all employees, and y'all correct me if I'm getting this wrong, all employees of elected or constitutional officers who receive supplemental pay from the county would be entitled to the appropriate ARPA bonus. Is that, or do all of these employees receive supplemental pay from the county?
I think, and I'm not trying to speak
Go ahead.
for the judges, but I don't know if your motion includes me, but I was excluding myself on that motion. This is just for the not for
Employees.
me,
Only
it's
the
just
employees of the
office.
elected or constitutional officers, not the actual elected or constitutional officers.
And we do have one regular county department too, so should we include it? Because the agriculture resources, they have 2 UGA employees who are also or county supplemented.
How about all employees
Okay.
who receive county supplement
Yes.
are included? How about that? That makes it a little clearer.
Anybody, Commissioner Cowell?
I think too, I'm just trying to think this through a minute. We talked a little bit last time about first responders. And you have a elected sheriff who's also a first responder. But I think your DA is also, he may not be a first responder, but I don't know of any other offices that have been impacted as much as the court system over there. And y'all are backing up jury trials, the judges are backing up things. COVID has affected that court system more than people really realize. And I guess because I'm over there every day. So I have no problem, anybody in the judicial system, however you want to paint that, or paint everybody with that brush, but to receive this money, because they've all been impacted tremendously.
I would just say, I think I know everybody in my office already has, just the state employees that receive this county supplement were the issue. I mean, I think everybody else, clerk's office, everybody else inside that courthouse is county pay. I think I'm the only office that has people that are not county paid, oh, and the judges, I'm sorry, which are included in this.
quick question, if I may, for clarification.
Commissioner
Did
Henderson?
the sheriff get his 2,500?
We did not include any elected officials or constitutional officers in the premium pay.
In his position, he's also a first responder. Even though he's an elected official, he's also a first responder. Is that correct? I would think so.
I would assume so, yes.
I see.
So I think it would make sense for the board to vote on whether or not this supplemental pay should go to elected officials as well. I don't think it should be left in doubt whether or not elected officials should be included in the same manner as employees, depending upon their status. I think the board should make that decision. Now, I'll say this with respect to you, ladies and gentlemen on the board, there is doubt as to whether you are qualified because, again, like I mentioned about the vice chair, there is a specific Georgia law that says how you pay yourselves additional compensation.
It's my
It
opinion
can
the
be
Board of
done.
Commissioners would not be eligible for that.
Well,
Other
It can be
other
done, but there's a
elected
lot of hoops.
yeah,
positions.
yeah, I have not asked for no 2,500. I have.
Commissioner Sanders,
I'm in agreement with any first responder, I don't care if they're elected or what, should receive this pay. But in reference to, I'm not asking for additional money, but I know, Patrick, other counties did actually include them, the commissioners and the whole staff in that. So
I'm not saying it can't be done.
I'm
There
not
is a
asking.
procedure to be followed. I would presume that those counties follow the proper procedure. I have no idea. But I do think it would make sense for the board to vote on whether or not supplemental pay should be made to elected officials, excluding yourselves, because I think it's improper for you to vote today to give yourselves additional pay. So if you want to make that a motion, then the board can consider that motion as
table it.
well.
I think you ought to table it. I think you ought to table it to give yourselves time to do the research, since you said you can do it. If you say you can do it, I think that some research need to be done. I don't think you need to, I just want to move forward with it tonight. That's my opinion. But we do have we are looking for a motion to include all employees.
And what? The share. I'd like to
That's
make a
elected
motion to
officials.
include all county employees
Yeah.
for the supplemental pay due to COVID, and to include the elected officials with exemption for the Board of Commissioners. They would not be included.
Huh? No. So Commissioner, and I'm gonna talk up, I'm gonna talk up for the board, because I just, that can't be right.
No, I ain't taking no federal money.
I know what I'm saying, I'm not, trust me, I don't think elected officials ought to get it, but what I am saying is that you included the, tax commissioner, you included the, probate judge, you included everybody except for the commissioners.
They were all
So,
impacted. We weren't impacted.
I think we need to vote on excuse me, commissioners, I think we need to vote on the county employees.
Correct.
And then if this board so chooses to do elected officials, we need to go through the legal realm to do it. And I'm not telling you can't do it or don't do it, I'm saying do it, go through the legal realm to do it if that's what you, wanna do.
Well, I agree with that, except,
Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to bring a little clarity to this whole situation.
Let him, whatever.
So the agenda item number 9 is only about clarification on compensation for county and state employees regarding premium pay. So what I recommend is that we vote on that particular agenda item now. If we decide we want to do something in addition to that, I think that needs to be an additional agenda item that we can table, go back, research, look at the legalities of it, and then if we have to come back once we done our legal research, or if Patrick already knows tonight what we can do legally, he can state that, but I don't think we should put both of those two items in the same agenda item. They should be two totally separate, different agenda items. So let's vote on the clarification on compensation for county and state employees regarding premium pay now, and then anything outside of that will be an additional agenda item that we can vote on. That's my suggestion. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Okay, let's vote on the county and state employees to receive, those are the state employees that receive supplement pay from the county to receive the premium pay out of the ARPA funds. We will ask our county attorney to give a legal opinion on elected officials.
Yeah, there you go. Can I get a second? Second. Thank you. It's been motioned by Commissioner Cowan and second by Commissioner Henderson. Any more discussion? All in favor? It passed 5-0. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next on the agenda is item 10A. 10A.
I'm sorry?
It's 10A.
I'll get it to you the next couple of days.
10A. Yeah, the next agenda item is number 10, I'm sorry. Newton. Cornish Creek, Mr. James Brown. It's item number 10. Then we'll go to 10A.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
We are asking for a amendment to the already approved budget for the William Street project. One thing that was left off was an evaluation of City Pond Dam. That's at a cost of $52,761.45.
Thank you, sir. Guys, I seek a motion, please. It's been motioned by Commissioner Henderson and second by, I think, Commissioner Mason. Any discussion? All in favor? It passed 5-0. Thank you, sir. I'm gonna go to, guys, I'm gonna take chairman's privilege and go ahead and do the next one because he's already standing here. Item number 11, then we'll come back to 10A and B. Go ahead, Mr. Brown.
This one is giving the Water and Sewage Authority access to some easements that we have that right there on Alcovey Road. This is a parcel that the Water and Sewage Authority is going to put a 24-inch line to go out to the east side of Newton. We just want to grant them permission to share that easement with us.
Thank you, sir. I seek a motion, please. It's been motioned by Commissioner Mason and second by Commissioner Cowan. Any discussion? All in favor? It passes 5-0. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Next is item 10A, County Manager. Commissioner Sanders. Amanda, would you please come on up, please? Thank you.
Yes, I would like to discuss the process of where we are now. I know when I previously asked you a question in regards to how many candidates we had, we were at 10, and that we were interviewing 4. So I wanted to know where we are currently, and is there a deadline or timeline when the commissioners will receive those candidates to actually, I guess, interview or hear from them? And what is the process set for the commissioners to be able to select the next interim county manager?
So, since then, we've received about 6 or 7 more applications for the interim county manager position. And so what we're doing now is moving forward in determining who we're going to additional interviews for the position, and those interviews should be conducted next week. And so after that, then a decision will be made as to which candidates will be moved forward to the commission for consideration.
Okay. And what was the total amount that actually submitted?
Well, it was 10 initially, if I said 10, I can't remember, but we've had an additional 6 or 7 since
16?
then.
Okay, so 16, okay, thank you.
Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you. I guess during the interviewing process of looking at the application, who all is involved in that process? Is it the chair and the district
Patrick.
commissioner, Patrick,
And myself.
and yourself?
Mhm.
Okay. So how did, I mean, I was under understanding that it should be a Republican and a Democrat also in on the, with that discussion and with those candidates. So we can bring forth the candidates to the board. And it's another two-part question. We were supposed to have the interim candidates by the first or before the first of the year so that we could look at and put in place a county manager. Or, I mean, an interim county manager. I'm gonna get it right in a minute. Interim county manager. So where are we at? And I guess that with the second part of the question should be posed to Mr. Patrick, because I probably remember our conversation a few weeks ago. I won't say a couple of weeks. A few weeks ago, you were saying that if anyone want to go and talk with the judges about us not being in compliance with the charter, that we would have those candidates on or a little bit beyond the first. And I'm just trying to get some clarification, because I think right now, a budget's coming up, and we don't have nobody, and we don't even have candidates. And I think it shouldn't be that way. It should be a process. And one lastly, the county manager, for all those who may not know, works at the pleasure of the board, the 5 members. And typically, it's the majority of the board who chooses he or she for that particular position. And right now, we're out of charter. And I'm just asking, well, first part of the question, then I have Mr. Patrick, the second part.
Patrick, let Patrick take that.
So I jotted down 4 questions.
Okay. Well,
First, should the interview panel consist of a Republican and a Democrat? There is nothing anywhere in your charter or in the law that calls for political party affiliation to be involved in an interview process or selection process for the county manager.
Does it prevent it?
I'm sorry?
Prevent a Republican and a Democrat to be a part of the selection process?
No, the law doesn't address political parties at all.
They should be there.
Next question was, it suggested that there was no interim county manager appointed as of January 1, and what I wrote was, what about that? Well, there just hasn't been one appointed yet. So the appointment will be made, an interim county manager will be appointed as soon as the process that has been described to you has been made, and I expect you will receive the 3 nominees from which this board will select in the relatively near future after these interviews are concluded.
So the other part of the question, if I may, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, that I asked was, are we out of charter? Should we have already had a interim county manager? You tell me, you the lawyer, I'm just the commissioner.
Yeah, so I don't think you're in violation of your charter. I think every charter, every bit of legislation contemplates that things will happen, and it is happening. The law doesn't require, and the law sets forth the procedure that the chair makes nominations, this board appoints. And to your second question is, can you petition to court to enforce the duties? If someone believes that any county commissioner is failing to perform his or her duties, that individual can file a petition with the Superior Court to seek an order to compel that action to be done. So if you believe, for instance, that the chair is not performing his duty appropriately, then you could ask the court to enter an order to compel him to do so. So that, I don't know how else to answer that
He is his
question.
duties, you as the county attorney, is the chairman performing his duties? I'm asking you that.
I think
'cause
he
it's-
is-
It's your job.
Yeah, he is
If I may
engaged.
finish, please.
He is
It's-
engaged.
It's your job. It's your job to make sure that we follow the charter.
And he is engaged in the process of appointing a county manager, and I
So
think that's
who
all
runs
you
the
can
county now?
expect.
Who runs it? Is it commissioners? Is
I'm
it the
sorry?
chairman? Who runs the county now? Since we don't have a county manager, who runs the county? Is it the chairman? Is it commissioners? Is it personnel director? Or they run themselves?
Who's running
Who's running the county? They are employees.
Who's running the county today? Is that your question?
Absolutely.
I'm not here on every minute, and I don't know how your department heads are functioning, but I think, for the most part, your department heads are performing the jobs that they've always performed. And to the extent they have issues or questions, they will have to bring those to the board or hold them. I don't know how else to explain, but I think each one of your county functions is functioning. Each one of your county departments is, 911 calls are getting responded to, the police are doing, the sheriff's doing their job, your Parks and Rec are doing their job.
Why am I getting all these complaints?
I'm sorry?
Why am I getting all these complaints?
I don't know
Why are they
anything about.
calling me?
I don't know the complaints.
It's not my
you
job.
Guys,
But just let me say
Guys.
this.
We
In
finna move
reference
on.
to the county, the employees are running themselves, and it shouldn't be that way. All the years that I've been on the board, never in the history of Newton County, and I believe that we have the best county in the state of Georgia, that we not had a county manager or somebody to run it. And right now, I don't know exactly how it's being run.
Any more questions? Commissioner Sanders.
Ms. Shoemaker, once the candidates are selected, will you send us all of their
We will
information,
send
resume, and?
everything.
Okay.
Mhm.
We'll get it before we actually meet with them, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Next is 10B, COVID discussion. Who asked for that? I think that was, Commissioner, District 3. Commissioner.
Yes, sir. I would like for the board to discuss on how we're going to move forward. We know that Newton County is number 4 and probably higher now. Before the actual break, before the holiday, we were at number 4. After a lot of people have been tested, speaking to some medical professionals, majority of the people who tested during the break and currently, over 80% tested positive. So here in Newton County, we do not have a mass COVID site. We do not have tests to give to our citizens to be able to test at home like some of the other counties. And I did speak to the director of the health department, and what he stated to us that we here in Newton did not order COVID tests in advance to be able to give to our citizens like DeKalb County, all of them did. They actually did that.
And excuse me, who said that?
I spoke to the director of the health department.
And he said that?
Yeah, he said he said we ran out. We don't have tests for our citizens to give at home. Do we have those? You have those here?
The director of the health department is not a he.
No, I spoke to, there was a mail that they forwarded me to.
I'm
You're
sorry, go ahead.
talking about the one who's over, you talk about Dr. Roma. No, there's somebody above Dr. Roma. So I actually spoke to them, and what they stated was that we didn't, so maybe you can answer this question. Did we order COVID tests for our citizens to take home?
Go ahead and finish your question.
No, I'm asking you because I think you may know. That's why I'm asking. I'm honestly asking, did we order COVID tests for our citizens to take home?
I'm not sure what the health department did.
Okay, so Newton County did not order.
I'm not
COVID
sure.
tests. Well, the reason why I'm asking that question, because the DeKalb County Commission ordered COVID tests for their citizens to be able to give out. So Newton County has not done that. So
You
that's
said
why I
the
was asking.
commissioners did. The commission did.
Yeah, that's why I was asking you as a chair. The commission, our previous county manager, order any COVID tests to be able to provide for our citizens?
I'm not sure.
Okay. So what we need to do is we need to plan that if we have another surge. There's a new variant that's out. Right now, we even have employees that are out that are positive. We have to provide a COVID mass test here in Newton County. We've been sending our citizens to Rockdale. A lot of them have went to Madison, Georgia. They went to go get tested in other counties. In Rockdale, the wait is like over 4 hours. We have we have testing sites here in Newton, but they're small. There's no mass testing sites at all in our county. So we need to provide a mass testing site for Newton County, as well as put in an order to order a certain amount of tests so our citizens can test at home. Because our kids just went back to school today, and it has increased with the number of children who have COVID, who are positive. So we're gonna have a huge surge that's coming about. So we as a commission need to discuss the safety of our citizens and what we're gonna do if we have another incident like we had over the holidays.
Well, listen, first, I completely agree with you. We do need a mass site here in the county. The state did reach out. A site was, let me tell you the dynamics of a site. They need a place that can hold about 150, 200 cars, that will not cause a traffic backup. The only site that we have that you can come in and go out like that is Gaithers. I submitted the site. I hadn't heard anything back from the state. Waiting on to hear from the state. As soon as our officers hear from the state, we can, we'll bring it to the board, and we'll call a special call meeting to get the things done that we need to do. But we don't have another site in Covington, in Newton County, that will hold that mass of people.
Now, my suggestion, Mr. Chair, we do have some vacant parking lots in Newton County where we have buildings that are not up anymore and the parking lots are vacant. A lot of the counties have set up outside. A lot of the medical professionals have set up outside tents to where it's a drive-through facility. So I want us to look at that option as well, not just the actual physical location. We can actually set up in various parking lots that we have vacant here that can house those cars as well.
So one of the main concerns is from the state, and I can bring Dr. Rona here and she can relay this message to you. One of the main concerns from the state is they got to have a place that it will not affect traffic.
Right.
It won't stop citizens from egressing and all of that
Correct.
stuff. So
I'm aware of that.
and again, the only site that's off-road that we have here that's large enough for that is Gaither.
Okay.
And what we would have to do, just to give y'all just update, what we would have to do at Gaithers they have the property, they have the road where you can come in and come around. If the state would pick this location, only thing we would have to do is to get the road department to come in and put gravel on the road that exit throughout the other side. And so to me, it's the perfect site, the perfect location. We're just waiting to hear back from them. I agree with you 100% on that, though.
And the other one I know we all just recently are aware of, in my district and also in District 2, was the recent tornado hitting. And we spoke to the emergency director in regards to that, the citizens not receiving a warning. And our emergency director informed us that we need a certain amount of sirens in order for our citizens to be able to hear those warnings. On Sunday night, the tornado the wind hit again, knocking down some trees, and a lot of citizens were afraid because they didn't think they was going to get another warning. So we need to figure out, I'm not sure, and I don't know if Patrick may know this, being in the government for a while, what can we do? And I did speak a little bit with Commissioner Cowan. What can we do as a commission to make sure that we are warning our citizens, are getting those sirens up in the high density areas, which is District 3 and District 2, where it hit, and those citizens had no idea that tornado was even hovering over them or it was going to hit. So we have to find measures and ways to make sure we're protecting our citizens and alerting them. So what can we do at this point to make sure a certain amount of sirens and warnings are up for our citizens?
Commissioner, I'll tell you what little I know, and I don't want to, step on the toes of your emergency management folks, but as a general rule, your sirens exist to alert people who are not in their homes. A lot of homes and a lot of people go through a lot of effort to try to, make sure the interior of their home isn't really affected by the exterior sounds. And chances are, if somebody knows they're moving in right next to an emergency siren, they're going to move further away. But there's a lot of other tools you can use, and I'm presuming Henry County or Newton County has
Code red.
sort of an emergency alert. You can sign up for a texting, or you can get a phone call. And that might be an effective way to alert people that are in their homes. You know, the sirens serve a very good purpose, but they don't really service somebody sitting at home having dinner. So there's probably a lot of other tools that your emergency management folks are more aware of than I am. But I can tell you that as a general rule, you place your sirens where people are going to be outside of their homes. So I'm not sure sirens really are the solution for the people that are in their homes. But you do need to make sure that people get appropriate warning wherever they are.
So, Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, for the first part about Gators Plantation, you know, during COVID, it's been kind of hard for some people to just kind of get over what some of them view as, and I've been told what happened in the 30s, 40s, or 50s when they was giving people shots for it being experimented on. So if people still know somebody or a family member or somebody down the line who has been kind of misused with those shots through by the government. So I think to ask, and I think we're giving out COVID testing. Am I correct thinking? Is it testing for COVID at Gators?
No, we're not. The state hasn't, again,
I'm talking if we did, there would be a testing, there would be a site to do
If
that.
the state chose that site, it will be a testing site,
Well,
yes.
I personally think there would be a bad location when you consider the history and what people have been through to go to an old plantation and do stuff like that. I don't think that's good. I don't think that's good for all citizens of Newton County and trying to ask somebody to go to an old plantation. And then you you look at the old plantation houses where people was mistreated and did a whole lot of bad things too. And surely we could find another location if we just had to use some property, partner with the city of Covington or with Pordale or somebody, and maybe put up a large tent somewhere and fit wherever they probably need to do. But I'm gonna just say this and be through with the first question, is we need to do something, and we need to do it now. Because too many people that I've known, including my sister and my first cousin, personally have died from COVID. And I still know there's a lot of people who are getting sick. I haven't known anybody who died yet, but getting sick from the Omicron, or how you pronounce it? Omicron. Getting very sick and possibly dying from it. Now, I know myself personally, I took all 3 of the shots. I ran to get them. I got mad when I couldn't get the first shot, it seemed like, but I got all my shots. And the second question about the sirens, there's no way, and I don't care if they didn't hear it, just to have them in the community is a certain amount of protection. At least you say, well, if I may be outdoors, my window let down, I know a tornado coming because I can hear it. And think how many people lives that it may save in the future. Because in Kentucky, the old folks, they didn't do nothing, and it just wiped out the whole community. So let's go out and spend some of this money that we've been saving and do what with, I would like to know, and put up some sirens in our community. It is something where they can go out and tell us what we need as far as sirens throughout Newton County in the unincorporated area.
Commissioner Sanders.
I know our emergency director actually responded and said in order for our citizens, especially on our side of town, on the west side, in order to be able to hear those sirens, we need about 1,000 sirens. So there's even, and I know our county attorney actually mentioned that they're meant for people to be outside. There are even none in the area where people are outside. The Walmart area and the Chick-fil-A where it hit, there are no sirens there. So if those individuals knew or those businesses knew to alert, they possibly could have sent home their employees, or it could have been a warning. So I thank God there was no fatalities, but we need to do something. And another suggestion that you probably have to get with the property owner, the old Walmart parking lot is what I was thinking about. So I don't know how that works, getting with that property owner. That's a parking lot that we can look at as well for the COVID mass test.
If you used the property at Walmart, you would shut down 278. You would shut down, what's the adjacent road that's running adjacent to 278? I think that's Alcovey Road or something like that.
I'm just trying to provide suggestions, Mr. Chairman, to help our citizens.
Yeah. And I
That's
understand. Hey, like I said, we completely need a location. But I will tell you that, it's just not in my hands. The state is actually looking in Newton County themselves. And that was the only site that I know of, and I talked to, several people at the road department. That's the only site that they know of that we can use one. So if you're talking about putting one inside the city limits of Covington, which consists of 278, Highway 142, Alcovey Road,
36, I think.
you would shut it down. I mean, you would definitely shut it down. Most of the sites, if you looked at it, they are off. If you look at the site that's in Gwinnett, it's off cut. The driveway is about a mile long. This is what was explained to me. If you look at Springfield and Conyers, it's off the road back up in the cut itself. So, hey, I'm just telling you what the state told me.
Yeah, that line was wrapped around at Springfield, blocked off road. It blocked off a lot of the sections too. So I guess just providing what we need for the citizens. That's all I'm here for.
I think we all are. Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mm-hmm.
As I was looking back at our spreadsheet that we did for our ARPA funds, we did set aside $95,000 out of the current funds that we have, ARPA funds for COVID-19 rapid response kits, so we can utilize those funds for testing. I do have a solution that we could potentially look at. There is what we call a mobile quick lab. With the mobile quick lab, you can put 2 to 3 individuals in there. I already have a company that is willing to provide that lab to us. They will provide the staffing and they will provide the test kits as well. So we would just be responsible for providing the actual lab expense itself. We won't have to worry about the employees. We won't have to worry, or the staff. We won't have to worry about the testing. The company that I'm familiar with or in process of having a conversation with, we actually do this at my church as well. And we test about 700 to 800 every single day. And Mr. Chair, you're absolutely correct. It does need to be a location where it doesn't really block up a lot of traffic, because you are going to have people lined up. The site that we have at my church, we are open Monday through Sunday from 8:30 a.m. until about 7 p.m. And there's about 700 to 800 tests every single day. So it is a continual flow. So I think this quick lab may be an option. I don't know what the state's suggestion is, if they're saying that we need to have a building or a facility. If that is the case, this actually resolves us having a building. It is an actual lab inside. It has all the equipment. It has all the things that's needed. It's locked down every single night. No one can get in it. And you would download an app, or you can go to their website, which is tptquicklabs.com. You would go to that site, enter in all of your information. You would know, because it's rapid tests, you would know within about 10 to 15 minutes whether you are positive or negative. And so I think this will be a great option for this board to really look at and review. I haven't gotten all of the logistics as of yet, but I am still working on that. So what I could do is, once I get a thorough analysis and a thorough report, what I can do is send an email to the board. I can provide them with photos of what the lab looks like. I can provide the board with what that cost would be. What I love about this is that we won't have to pay for the staffing or the test itself. We just pay for the actual mobile unit, the lab that's set up, that's locked up every single night. So that's just an option, but once I get more details, I'll provide that. I'll send an email out to the entire board with those details. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Mason, so your church have used this lab? Okay, so what might y'all be paying them for the, I mean, just possible estimate, because I know if I was, I would know.
You mean paying the staff?
Yeah,
Or-
the only.
or paying for the
yeah,
lab?
Yeah.
I think if I was quoted, if I could recall correctly, I think just to get the lab, it might be about $62,000.
Okay.
Just to get the lab, and that would basically be the only expense
Okay.
that we would have.
Okay.
So we have $95,000. It would
Yeah.
cover that 62,000 or 63,000,
Okay.
and then that would basically be the only expense that we would cover.
Okay, thank you. Well, it's just one thing I just want to just mention. If it meant closing down 278, now I'm not for closing, I know I get cussed out for closing down 278. If it could save just one life, it'd be worth it. Just one. Because each one of us is priceless. And I don't think nobody would mind if it would save lives and help folks. I don't think nobody in their right mind would say that, oh, we closed the road down because we're trying to help save people's lives. And we don't have, and that's typically what's happened here in Newton. We'd be the last people to try to help somebody with COVID. It took us months just to have a place for people to go in and get shots in their arms. And think how many people died. And for those you have lost loved ones, either from COVID or whatever, that's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling. So I think we need to do whatever it takes to take closing the road down, or whatever it is, we need to do it.
Thank you. So we'll look to hear back from Commissioner Mason and see what information he can provide. All right, thank you.
And I think our attorney said he's going to check on the COVID tests, the kits, so we can give to our citizens to do it at home as well.
Next is Tim Lawrence, GIS. I think he have an update he want to present.
Thank you, Chairman. Good
Thank
evening.
you.
Commissioners, I have a brief PowerPoint. Elements of it you saw back in October when we met at the Board of Education for a joint BOC-BOE meeting. Some of these slides are exactly the same. The map has changed a little bit. Before Christmas, I gave everyone a packet, a one-page memo, and 3 population summaries. I want to make sure everyone got those. Components of the map I'll be showing in a second, some of the population statistics as well. And I want to get your feedback and comments. This is just a discussion item. I can go to the Board of Education's work session next Tuesday, January 11th. And I think we both have, your board and their board both meet on the 18th. So if there's action to be taken, I'll try to be in both places that night. But we'll start. Brian, it's only 13 pages. I won't read this verbatim, but the first slide just kind of details the difference between reapportionment and redistricting. Reapportionment occurs only at the federal level to appoint a state's number of congressional seats based on population after each census in the years ending in 0. Georgia had 14 congressional seats. We did not gain any. We did not lose any. But back in November, there was a special session of the General Assembly to do redistricting of the congressional seats, Georgia Senate, and Georgia House. And I believe the governor just signed those. This legislature approved it November, December, and then I think in the last week or so, the governor approved it. The local redistricting will start to be discussed in the coming session this month and into February. At certain points during this presentation, I'll defer to Mr. Jogstetter to kind of clarify some of the legal requirements and principles used. Redistricting must comply with U.S. and state constitutions, as well as the Voting Rights Act of 1965 and the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause. Traditional redistricting principles used by the Georgia Office of Reapportionment, the office that worked on our map for us for no fee. Some of the principles include compactness, being contiguous, respect the political boundaries, i.e. city limits, communities of interest, and incumbent protection. Incumbent protection meaning that you can't be moved out of your district to another district. And some of these are the statistics that you have in your population summaries. According to the 2020 census, our population was 112,483 residents. And if you divide that by 5, the ideal population of the 5 districts would be 22,497. The state's Office of Legislative and Congressional Reapportionment gave us a map that they call a map of minimum change. It was asked at one point, do the districts have to change? The answer is no, as long as the districts don't deviate more than plus or minus 5% for a total of 10. That, as you can see in the current population counts, which when I say current, I meant last year. It was Census 2020, last October. District 3 is 13% larger than the smallest, which I believe is District 1. So what the state has done based on the criteria and principles that I laid out a second ago are districts that are statistically equal. They're not exact, they probably never will be, but I think the deviation is less than 1%. So it meets the criteria. Any comments, Patrick?
Yeah, I would say you've done an outstanding job of summarizing this really complicated information in a way that makes sense, and I'm sure it generates a lot more questions from the citizenry and the board, and I'm happy to help, as I know you are as well.
Sorry. I have a few more slides. I'm sure this is hard to read for the audience. These are technical considerations that if need be, we'll read through them. But this is based on census data, and some elements of it is considered confidential for 3 generations, which is 72 years in the eyes of the federal government. It is protected by U.S. Code, help me out, Title 13, and voter anonymity comes into play in certain areas. You can't identify the voters. In some areas, there are very few people, so they try to keep a little bit of noise in the data, so we can't see who's where. And again, this is done by the state. We did not do this in-house. These are not the county's maps. They are Newton County maps prepared by the state using federal data. And there were 7 areas that we showed you back in October. There are now 8, and some of them don't change, and I'll go through them if you'd like, area by area. And in the memo, I listed what changed and what did not. Area A is involving districts 1 and 2. A small area near Bethany Road and State Route 81 is proposed to move from District 2 to District 1. There was a question about that as to why that, can you reverse it one slide, Brian? Why that area and why not a different area? I asked the state, I got a couple questions back, or a couple responses back. One is the numbers. Other areas are more populated, and it would throw the numbers off a little bit. And there was a potential complication of the Voting Rights Act if the numbers were changed too much. Essentially diluting minority representation of that district. 10 years ago, that district did not have a majority demographic. It was a plurality. It has recently gone majority-minority, and it's, I think, 50 or 51% minority, and they did not want to potentially deviate less than that to 50%. I defer to the attorney for any qualification or clarification.
If there's specific questions.
Okay. Area B, this did not change from last time. This is involving districts 1 and 5. District 1 is moving northwesterly into what is currently 5, largely rural. It's a large area, but it's not as heavily populated as some of the others. Area C, this is a very small area along 278. It dips below I-20. and this is the voter anonymity issue that was raised. The state has hinted that this can be reversed because it won't affect that many voters, but they made the change because there is an issue of the city of social circle, city limits being in this part of Denton County, and I think some city elections and potentially Walton County elections, well, it wouldn't be Walton County, but that's kind of why they did that. And it may or may not change. Wait, do we want to wait for questions or stop at any point? Okay. Again, this is just discussion and informational, and we'll go back to any of these slides, and I'll jot any questions down that I can't answer tonight. Area D, this previously was shown to move from District 4 to District 5. This is along the Covington bypass, along Flat Shoals. I don't know the names of the subdivisions offhand, Navajo Trail, Fleta Drive, Stacia, are some of the streets. But in this iteration of the map, it stays in District 4 and does not move to District 5. Area E, this one also did not change. This involves District 2 and 3. It's a small area along the Rockdale County line, and it moves District 3 towards the Rockdale line into District 2. Last meeting I gave you a list of subdivisions and street effective, but I don't have that with me, so I apologize. But again, no change in Area E. Area F changed a little bit. District 3 being the largest in terms of number of residents has to change geographically, has to become geographically smaller. And this area was not the largest, but I think it affected the most amount of people. And what would happen is District 4 would move westward across Crowell Road, along Brown Bridge, near Kirkland, to formerly Harold Dobbs in the version of the map I showed you in October. But since then, it's moved a little bit further eastward, and it doesn't go that far. It's still the same general area. It includes Crowell, but it doesn't go up to the access road. It comes a little bit south of there. The blue line that you see is actually a voting precinct, and I might touch on voting precincts in a little bit, but it basically moved from that blue line back to the east a little bit between the versions. And I don't think anything else was affected in that area, but it essentially, again, moved from Harold Dobbs east back to probably a river or a creek or something. There's no road on that where that pink touches the purple. But whatever census geography was used, census tracts, was how the state drew their map. And Area G was the 7th area that was talked about last time. And Commissioner Henderson and the school board representative, District 4, stated that to respect the state's principle of not splitting political entities like the city of Oxford, they wanted to keep that in that district. And so that's what happened. So G would remain in District 4. However, I wouldn't say that the two are necessarily correlated, but on either side of it is now in Area H, a small area that is currently in District 5. I don't know how many people. I would imagine it's near the quarry to the west of G, but also now the other part of H is going from District 4 to 5, and the dividing line would be State Route 142 near the Covington Airport. I think I might have one more slide. Next steps, if no changes to the draft map are desired, we'll have to have a resolution approved by your board and the Board of Education, hopefully in the next month or two, so we can have the state adopt a map. I will be attending like I said, the BOE work session next week to present the same PowerPoint, show them the same maps. They've been given the same materials that you all were in December, the map, population summaries, showing our 2010 demographics, the demographics as they are or were last year, and then what they propose to match the map. And then I think both boards are going to meet on the 18th. I'll clarify that. However, if any changes are deemed necessary to this map, it has to go back to the state for further review. A staff level technical review, the office that presented the map would have to approve any changes that you recommend. it would come back before you and the school board. And then if those changes were made, it goes back to the state reapportionment office, and then ultimately, at a higher level, the state legislature will approve them out. And then in order to it to get on the state's legislative agenda, one of our state reps would have to sponsor the map. Mr. County Attorney, any comments?
No, if there's any specific questions, I'll address them.
Any questions, guys? Commissioner Sanders?
Mine's real quick. Just when does the state actually approve this? Because I know it hasn't been officially approved as of yet.
Not having been involved in this 10 years ago, I don't know. I was working for a city government then, so cities don't redistrict unless they have a large school system. It's only done at the county and higher. My assumption is that it's done generally late January or early February. I wasn't here 10 years, so I don't know what the timeline was back then. Patrick might be able to comment.
So the state, I guess to be just totally frank, they can approve it whenever they want. This is a state legislative process. If the General Assembly, as soon as the session begins, if a bill is proposed and voted on, you will be stuck with it. But as a general rule, first of all, it's going to take a little bit of time for it to work its way through the General Assembly. And secondly, as a general rule, they want your input. Now, they don't want everybody's input all the time. As you might guess, this is redistricting is highly politically charged. But as a general rule, the sooner you can either raise questions, raise issues, or approve this, the more likely your voice will be heard.
Anyone else? Commissioner Henderson?
Thank you. I know I participated in maybe 2 or 3 redistricting, and it used to be a time we go to the state capitol and they get the lines, they draw the lines, and the time before last, the Board of Education was there, they went in with us and we drew the lines, and then we had a conversation, and we all had to agree on the same map here in Newton County, which they typically agreed on the same map that we had drawn. This time I see, it seems like, as old folk would say, the shoe's on the other foot, and it's more of to a certain degree, the Board of Education leading the Newton County Board of Commissioners. It used to be we were the top government in Newton County, and all the other governments would follow us to a certain degree, but I'm seeing where it's a lot of moving in different directions. And like typically what you said was that whatever map we drew, they would accept because they know we had the best interest. And so, but I'm hoping that we can get back to the times where people believe more in the county government as they used to.
Thank you, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next is Shayna Applewhite. If you would, please come on up. This is an intergovernmental agreement by and between the County of Newton, Georgia, and the County of Rockdale, Georgia. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm just standing in for Judy this evening. This is a request for approval of this intergovernmental agreement. Just to recap, this case first came before, not first, it was approved by the board last July, at the July 20th meeting, July 2021.
Can you speak in the mic for me, please?
Oh,
thank you.
Sorry. Yeah, it was a rezoning case that was approved by the board last July. Where they rezoned from single family to light industrial, and it was for a warehouse distribution center. And one of the conditions of zoning was for the developer to work out an intergovernmental agreement or to facilitate that between Rockdale and Newton County, because a portion of the property and possibly where the buildings are going to be located will fall in Rockdale County. So that is what they have been working on. Basically, what the agreement would allow is that Newton County would get all the taxes for the property, even though it's gonna remain in both counties, but we'll get all the taxes on that. It also makes us the local issuing authority for the entire project, so it gives us permission to approve land disturbance permits, building permits, complete inspections, and that thing for the entire project, even in the Rockdale County side. I think that would be the Cliff Note version of it. So basically, it just gives us full authorization to properly permit this project and to monitor it. I don't think I've left out anything, the county attorney.
Is everything, Patrick?
Yeah, the short version is because this property straddles the county lines, we have to work out with Rockdale who does what. You will be the permitting authority, you will be the taxing authority, and you will be the service provider. So it will, for all practical purposes, be treated as if it is in Newton County.
Yeah.
And Rockdale County has already approved the agreement.
Thank you. I'll seek a motion, please. It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Mason. Any discussion? All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, I missed him. He had his hand up, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Edwards.
So just so I'm sure, all rules governing the aesthetics, all zoning applied issues, rules, are those, anything that Rockdale has in place are superseded by Newton County, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Commissioner Sanders.
And this is for the warehouses in District 3, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Off of Dogwood Drive, it's 29, I have the address here. I think the address was 2932 Dogwood Drive.
All in favor? All opposed? All in favor? All opposed? Pass 5-0. Thank you. Thank you so much. Next on the agenda is alcohol license, first reading, CVS 4192 Salem Road, Covington, Georgia 30016. Tasha Reed, District 3, first reading. Next is item number 16. Alcohol license renewal, additional submittals, a total of 11. They're listed in your packet. I think we need a motion for this one.
That's correct.
Yes. I seek a motion, please. Thank you. It's been motioned by Commissioner Mason, second by Commissioner Edwards. Any discussion? All in favor? Passes 5-0. Thank you so much. Next is citizens' comments. This opportunity will allow citizens to make comments. Please, you have 3 minutes to do so. Please state your name and your address for the record, please.
Good evening and
Good
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
My name is Barbara Fairman. I live at 390 Woodland Ridge Circle in Covington, Georgia. It's not a complaint, it's a thank you for taking care or get the records boiling on the removal of the 8 alligators that are in a residential area. So I thank you, I'm not complaining this time, for making this happen. And I don't know how long it's going to take for you to make sure this happens, but I thank you for stepping on this. Have a good evening.
Thank you much.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
It brings me great pleasure on behalf of the Lyndhurst subdivision to be here and to commend our district commissioner, Commissioner Mason, for not only the work that he's doing, but for maintaining and improving the quality of life. And he has done that by providing our main street with repavement for the 2022 calendar. I myself, as a member of the board and our board president here, we had to sit through this meeting to make sure that you heard the compliments of what we feel is a dedicated service.
I can only say the same thing. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Can you state your name and your address for the record, please?
My name is Gary Griggs, 235 Foxglove Drive, Covington, Georgia.
I'm Stephen Holtzmiller, 125 Lake Lucinda Drive, Covington, Georgia, in the Lyndhurst subdivision.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Annette Alston. I live at 420 Trelawney Circle. I'm here with my mother, who's lived there for more than 20 years. 20 years ago, when they first purchased that property, there was a ditch, and it's a subdivision. There was a ditch there, and the developers promised that they were going to fill it in. My father wrote letter after letter, and there was no response. And I don't know who the person was before, who was manager before Kerr, but my father had tried to write them, and I had copies of the letter. When I moved here, I sent a copy of that letter, and I wrote another letter to, first I reached out to Vice Chair Henderson, and he referred me to Manager Kerr, Lloyd Kerr. And he got on it. I want to give credit, and I'm sorry I wasn't here last month to have done that before he left, because I would have liked to have thanked him personally. He got the people together that needed to be gotten from the correct directors, the engineers. He got the people in place, brought them out to the house. They came up with a plan, and they got the job done. They said it would be a few months, and it did. It took. I started to get a little skeptical, but then they came out, they did the job, and they did a phenomenal job. I mean, it looks beautiful. I wish I could have a picture and show you what it looks like. I was quite pleased. So in hearing that Commissioner Kerr is no longer here, my concern, I don't know what all the, whatever else he didn't do or did do, he did that well. And I do have some concern about there not being a manager in place, even interim, that can do the same kind of thing that he did and expedite things so quickly in terms of knowing who to contact, and what to do and how to make things work. So whatever you do, I hope that you get someone in place so that when someone else has a problem similar to the one that my parents, I have, that it can be done the way this was done. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Frederick Johnson, 1036 Highway 162, Covington. I got a couple of issues I want to bring to your attention. I don't know when you all were last sat back there. It's hard to hear back there. I wish that we could do something with this PA system. Let's work on that some kind of way. The next thing I want to say, after the count is going up with this COVID, for the last, I guess, 8-10 years, I've been instrumental in taking care of the cemeteries on King's birthday. So I thought I better come in and let y'all know that by the count look like it's going up, and I'm not going to be responsible for people out there in the cemetery. So I'm calling it off as of now. I'm calling it off. There'll be no cleaning up, the supervised cleanup. I'll let Laura and Molly Melville know tomorrow for the college students and so forth. But if you see a cemetery need cleaning up, just go ahead on, take it on your own to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Anyone else?
John Dobbs, I live on Dry Pond Road. And Mr. Barnes, I want to thank you. Somebody answered his phone today over at the tag office. First time in 5 times I've called and they answered the phone. But I'm not here for that because that's at the budget meeting. I'm going to be here for that. About this new county manager. Y'all got rid of one that was making $135,000. Now in Covington News, back in December, y'all put down here the new one's going to make $185,000. That's a $50,000 raise. The sheriff makes $137,000 that I researched. Superior Court clerk's $165,000. Tax commissioner is $126,000 and some change. Probate judge is $84,000. $101,000. The county manager is going to make $185,000. That's $15,000 a month. Probate judge is $8,400. Tax commissioner, $10,000 and a little change. Superior Court clerk, $13,000. The sheriff, the head sheriff, $11,457. Y'all give him a $500 clothing allowance a month. If I was that deputy back there, I'd go to work at McDonald's, make $15 an hour flipping a burger. Go to work Walmart, $15 an hour to sweep a floor. Somebody steals, let their security handle it. I don't know where y'all think y'all gonna get this money at. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be brief. I look forward to working with the rest of the board and for a productive year on behalf of our citizens. Going to be some challenges, but I look forward to working through those challenges. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I too look forward to working with this board this year in 2022. I did want to announce that we are going to have the Cleanup Newton project. We are going to have another cleanup on January the 15th, 2022 at 10 a.m. We are going to be meeting at Denny Dobbs Park under the pavilion. If anyone would like to volunteer, please feel free to contact me directly, 678-544-5212. Or if you're on social media, you can contact me via Facebook, or you can email me as well. And so we're just looking for volunteers. We're going to be doing this every single month as we did in 2021. We want to just make sure that we are doing our part to keep our community clean. And so we are looking forward to having a very successful cleanup on January 15, 2022 at 10 o'clock a.m. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Sanders.
Ditto to all of my colleagues, saying Happy New Year, and I'm looking forward to working with this board in 2022. I also was just recently contacted by our new DCA director for Newton County, who's looking to work with nonprofit organizations in regards to rental assistance. So if you are a nonprofit, please feel free to reach out to me. You can reach out to me through commissionersanders.com, my number, or you can come get a card. So they're looking to work with nonprofit organizations, so feel free to reach out to me. As well as I'm excited that I made my 1-year mark here as a commissioner here in Newton County. I want to thank those citizens who reached out to me and those who gave me congratulatory I wouldn't say gifts. I had facials with some and all type of things with my those in my district. So I really appreciate it, and that you appreciate me, and I appreciate you all, and I really look forward to working with those in the devastating D3 and as well as Newton County. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to just say that the bike drive that we didn't ask anybody to donate any bikes was a success. We gave away about 15 bicycles that were donated. People just came in and said, you know, you got to find a family and give the bikes away, and that's what we done. We also we picked up about 25, 30 boxes of food that we had put together, and we gave it to individuals in the community. And I'm just going to just say this. Here was a lot of people who had asked for help, asked me for food or to help with their assistance or their mortgage and stuff. And I tell you, I just felt a little depressed, Mr. Chairman. The fact that we're not seen to be helping some of the people that feel like need to be helped, but yet, and still on election time, we're going to knock their doors down and ask for their vote, but yet their mortgage is due, their utilities are due, and we're not doing anything. And some of our affluent, rich commissioners, he can't pay them all. He can only pay a few. Thank you.
Commissioner Cowan. Thank you. Guys, again, we do have a need for executive session tonight, potential litigation. I am excited about the new year, new opportunities that we have here in the county. I will be making an announcement on a new job initiative that we will be doing to help those that are looking for jobs to get placed in jobs. So I am excited about that. And I will be giving you more information on that in the coming week. So thank you so much, guys, for being here. We do not intend on taking a vote tonight. So thank you so much again. I seek a motion that we move into executive session. It's been motioned by Commissioner Mason and second by Commissioner Edwards. All in favor? We stand in executive session.